Are you ready to solve the puzzles, follow the clues, and figure out all the mysteries that come with an escape room in a box? Hey guys, and thanks for joining us here at Tantrum House Studio 3. I'm Will Meadows.
And I'm Sara Meadows, and today we're reviewing the game Escape Room in a Box Flashback from Mattel.
They recommend that you play this with 2 to 8 players. It'll take you about 90 minutes to play. Now we're going to try to keep it a little bit spoiler-free. We're not going to just tell you the puzzle solutions and things. But obviously, if you don't want to know what's inside the box, which the very first page says, don't look at anything else in here until you're ready to play, then turn the video off now and go follow us and watch one of our other videos. But we are going to get into it. We're just going to show you some of the components, talk a little bit about the game, and really just talk about our experience in playing it.
We played this with 5 players, and 3 of the other players besides the 2 of us were pretty casual gamers. So they said they weren't used to doing as many puzzles as were in the game, and trying to do all of the ciphers and stuff. Although we did, we're able to finish in less than 90 minutes.
Yeah, we definitely rocked it. We have done a bunch of escape rooms and several escape room in a box types of scenarios. This one ranked, I would say, pretty in the middle of that experience. Like, it wasn't too hard. I didn't feel like we really got stumped too much. There were 1 or 2 times that we had to use the little hint book to get some clues in the game, but that was really more because we had already done something and we were ahead of where we needed to be, rather than that we couldn't figure out what we were doing. So some of our wires got a little twisted, at some places in the game.
Yeah, do make sure that you read over the instructions beforehand.
Always a good recommendation.
It does have a few clues in there, especially the use the freezer. We totally forgot and about killed ourselves trying to figure out this one puzzle. We had what we needed to figure it out. It just made it really difficult without using a freezer because we completely forgot about it.
I would say that one of the nice things about these, and I think this is really the second kind of in the storyline, in the very first game you're trying to avoid becoming a werewolf, and this is a continuation of that. Here comes a spoiler. In this game you're trying to build an amulet that you will use to de-werewolfify the other players. One of the things that I appreciated about the game was that it is pretty humorous. It's a little bit tongue-in-cheek. It's obviously lighthearted as you're playing it, but you feel pretty serious as you're trying to read through these letters and solve the puzzles, and it struck like a really nice theme chord, I think.
Yeah, in the game there are 3 different sets of paths that you can take. One path has a lot of word puzzles, and another path has a little bit more with science, and the third path has a little bit, it says, with friendships. It has some other puzzles that don't fit into either of the other 2 categories.
Yeah, and they're a little bit more thematic too, kind of telling you a little more of the backstory and rehashing some of their memories and things in the game, which made it interesting.
Yeah, it was a good way to split up some of the puzzles. They each had a sheet that you would fill out the answers to each one of the mini puzzles that came in that section, and it kind of divided up evenly so that if you wanted to just play one portion of it, you could, and come back later and have another new game experience.
The components for the game were pretty expected for what you would get in a off the target shelf type of game. You're using a bunch of different locks and little boxes and things. But they're plastic, and so they're not you're not dealing with metal locks or anything super heavy duty, but it's enough that you feel like you're undoing some stuff, you're figuring out some puzzles, you're moving some pieces around. It was nice, like a nice tactile experience. It wasn't just paper and pencil.
Yeah, the puzzles that they included, there was a wide variety of different types of puzzles, so none of them were really repeats of the same type of puzzle over and over again. So I've done a couple of escape room box things where they'll have this word find type of puzzle, and then later on in the game it'll come up again, a very similar thing. I think they did a good job of having a very wide range of types of puzzles, which also helps if you have people who have different skill sets. It's a good idea to pass those puzzles around if someone gets stuck, and let somebody new with fresh eyes look at it, and a lot of times that ends up, you can solve it very quickly then.
I would say 4. We played it with 4.5, 5. The 5th player kind of jumped in a little bit late in the game. was pretty much the perfect number because it allowed us to kind of team up on 2 puzzles at a time and solve them. I think if you had too many players, you would be kind of looking over each other's shoulders. I felt like 2 to 3 people working on a puzzle or on their own puzzles worked really well, and so I think that's a nice little sweet spot in there. Obviously, the game is not very replayable, so you're going to get one good experience out of it. I think you probably could put all the pieces back together. Most of the time, and I don't actually know this for sure, so it may not even be true, they'll give you a place where you can go to a website and like reprint some of the sheets that you filled in. You could laminate it if you wanted to the first time through, if you wanted to be able to resave it. I think all of it could be put back together.
With the exception of maybe one paper that
right,
gets
that you have
folded.
to write on. And yeah, that's true. So.
Besides that one sheet, I think you could, and it's a smaller piece that you could probably.
If you print it, you could print out the papers again for sure. None of the puzzles were like destructible, where you couldn't put the plastic pieces back together.
Yeah, they did a good job of incorporating some components that were not just the pieces of paper. They had a few extra little bits and tiles and things, and they worked well together with the puzzles that they came with.
Yeah.
With the exception of we forgot about using the freezer, and so
she's stuck on that one. Make sure you use the freezer. Just look for the freezer thing.
Yeah, follow the clues that talk about being cold with the freezer. It doesn't say freezer in it, so that's why we totally forgot about it.
We were just on a roll, knocking stuff out. Nobody's got time to go stick stuff in the freezer.
Yeah.
We did finish with well under 90 minutes, so it's definitely not a super difficult one. The hint book is there again if you need help as you go along, and I think all the hints were pretty, like we went back and reviewed them afterwards, and I think they would have definitely, like there's no reason you should get stuck and trapped in the middle of this and not be able to escape.
Yeah, and there were a few places where we were able to find a free hint. So that was a nice thing to have in the game so that we knew, like, oh, if we get stuck, we get a free hint. And they also have 2 separate books. There's a hint book and an answer book. So you don't have to worry about accidentally seeing something in the hint book when you go and get the answer at the end.
Yep. If it sounds like something you'd be interested in, definitely check out Escape Room in a Box Flashback. If you haven't played the prior one to this, which I think is called Werewolf Experiment or something like that, check that one out too. Between the two, man, I really liked the first one a lot. I don't know if it was just kind of the introduction to the story. This was a great addition. They were both fun. Check them out. Thanks so much for watching and subscribing and liking and following and commenting. Gosh.